You are now listening to the Real Afro Unity podcast with our hosts, Daring and Ayo, where they'll be discussing various topics that affect our African diaspora. With these conversations, they aim to hopefully bridge the gap between us African Americans with the Nigerian diaspora. They will dismantle the myths and share a new perspective. Please sit back, relax, listen, and enjoy the conversation.
Well, Darren, do you want to start us off, or?
Yeah, people, welcome back. Welcome to the city of brothers, they call it.
Yeah.
So, today, it's been a privilege for us to start this new year, and the last time we had a friend of ours come around for O2 consulting.
Yep.
It was very educational. I loved the flow, and we're able to delve into some other stuffs. But today we have with us someone I would say she's more like a sister to me. She's a friend, she's a colleague, and but before I get to her, let me introduce my co-host.
Oh, come on. This is Ayo. You know that. You guys know me already.
so I'm here with, I call her Shalimar, and her name is Shola. Because of the topic that we're going to be discussing today, I looked at who are the people around me that I know will be in the best space for us to discuss this, and that will not mince words. Let me put it that way. That will put it out there the way it is. Yeah. We'll not be deceiving people.
Okay.
We're not here to be politically correct.
Okay.
We are here to tell people the way things are so that people can make informed judgment of how they want to go about stuff.
Beautiful.
So, Shalimar, welcome.
Thank you, Derry.
Welcome.
Excited to be here with you guys. Thank you so much, Ayo, as well. And I think just to cap what Darren just said, it's just someone who's going to be very transparent and realistic with you all about the topic.
I know that.
Got it.
Thank you very much. But before we dig deep into parenting in America, it's challenging for African immigrants, especially because the way we know it is not the way it's been done here. And we are bringing our children from different backgrounds and different culture to integrate them into a new system. How are they adapting? How are they reacting as well? How are we being able to navigate our children being in a new culture, but trying to grant them in the way we expect things to be done? Because the reality is we all have our ways or how we think things should be done, respectively of where we come from.
Right.
But before I delve into that, I want to ask you a question. When I say real Afro unity, what comes to your mind?
For me, it's just about uniting, I think the African, should I say the African race, bringing everybody together. I think that from what real Afro unity means, it's just about uniting everybody.
And that is what we're all about. Why do you want to shed more light on that?
No, that is exactly what we aim to accomplish with our podcast and what we're doing. We want to unite everyone together because there are some values that can be shared. There are some insights that can be shared from a different perspective.
Sure.
And I think you can lend a perspective that I've never had, and I can lend a perspective that you may have never had. So the whole idea is to just come together, be of one, because we're one family in the end. Yes. So now we're just trying to really actualize it through this podcast. So you are welcome to be here to share with that.
Thank you.
Yes.
And just to add to what Ewa is saying is, if we are able to come together, we can achieve much more than what we are presently doing. And people are not realizing that, because I feel like people feel like if we are able to divide them, then we can conquer them. And we are also jumping into that narrative, fall into the trap,
Right.
And I'm like, so why can't we be together? What is so difficult about these things that cannot make us just sit down and have a conversation? And we are not going to be able to freely sit down if we are not able to talk about our differences and why we're different and why I feel like I might see you acting a certain way, and I might feel like you don't have a sense. or
Something is wrong.
Or you might see me act a certain way. You might call me a booty scratcher, So it's okay. It's okay.
Let's talk about it. Either way, let's talk about
Let's
it.
just talk about it. Why do you think I'm
Why
a booty
you-
scratcher? It's okay, Why not?
Look at this. There is always the one.
Exactly, right?
So, it's just part of what we are. I'm not offended by it, People have different
Their
ways
views.
of. But if I'm able to sit down with you, maybe you see something much more than scratching my body, like you see. You can see much more than that. So that is why we're doing this, and welcome once again. And I would like to start this way. The last time we had O2 Consulting in the building,
Yes.
one of the things we discussed is how was he able to integrate into the society in the
Yes.
US, him
Yes.
Right.
himself, let alone his family. So that is what I want to ask you. How has it been for you, the journey, integrating into the US society, I know you work in the financial sector, too much money,
Daring is just something else.
So how has it been for you?
Yeah. For the sake of time, I'll try and summarize that.
Yeah.
But first, talking about what you guys talked about, uniting, the African race or bringing us together, it's a topic on its own, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that I think you guys can bring back to this table and talk about, why are people not ready to unite, to live in unity?
Yeah.
So I'll put that aside. But going into this topic, my personal journey, I'm going to say it's been interesting. And before I start, for someone like me, I can't really take away God from everything I do. That is me. But so talking about how I was able to integrate, into a transition into the American environment was just, it's been a long journey, kind of. I think I started coming to the United States in 2011. And little by little, I started seeing and trying to understand, the culture and the people. But it wasn't so easy, when you come as a visitor. I must have shared this with you there. It's different from when you're living in that same environment. But it kind of helped me because I was able to first, drive, navigate, understand the system, the road system and all of that. And then, I was able to understand the hospital system as well, right? So that's two. So it was kind of the next thing I needed to do when I finally moved in December of 2017 with my family was just to understand the educational system first. Because it was a big thing for me. I come every day with goals and visions, and I talk to them about that every time. Sitting in my office back then in Nigeria in a bank, I was just looking at how is this transition going to look like, And what I thought about was, okay, I hear a lot of people saying, of course, America is a leveler. When you come in, you have to go back down, and then before you start tracing your steps upward. And in my head, I'm like, well, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, go into the healthcare, that's a way to easily transition. And I didn't want to do any of those. I actually applied into the university in Nigeria for medicine and surgery.
Wow.
And I did not get that course. I got pharmacology, but I knew it was just something telling me. I did anatomy as a course, and I didn't like the sight of
You didn't like what you were seeing.
Yeah, the sight of, seeing, we call it cadaver.
Yeah,
That's,
seeing all
the
those-
human being, dead
Yeah.
human being,
Oh
and
my
dissecting
goodness, wow.
all of that. So I knew the healthcare system was not really, maybe the part I was looking at the time was not really, because now I understand it's really broad, right? There's the admin part, you don't have to, there's the finance part,
Right,
it doesn't have to be nursing on it, as a thing. But then, I just knew that wasn't for me. So I started thinking back then, my goals, my visions, and the steps to actually achieve what I wanted and, make that transition kind of smooth. So I thought of, is it impossible for me to work in a bank in America when I move? And so that was why I said I started looking into the education sector.
Got it.
Because one thing I wanted to do was put myself in that situation, that point where I can speak to anything that has to do with the American society.
Got it.
So
Got it.
education helped me. I came in, did my MBA, and it was a full-time thing. I was so focused, and I finished that in a little over a year because my goal was get this done. Don't lose too much money while waiting,
Wow.
and then find that job.
Did you take the course with your family here, or
Yeah,
you
with
just-
my family here.
Wow,
And
okay.
that's what Darren was talking about, raising kids here.
Yeah.
And when we go into that topic as a whole, I'm going to still talk about this
Okay, okay.
part because my mom was here with me.
I see.
My husband was also here, but he was doing his own thing, but my mom was here.
Got
So
it.
in terms of the little kids, at the time I had, the last one I had, my last son was about a little over a year old. So it wasn't something that I was able to juggle on my own, right? So bringing my mom in really
Assisted
helped.
you. Wow.
Yes.
So
Nice.
wow.
nice.
Okay. No, you were saying so you came in. You wanted to go the educational route.
Right.
You integrated yourself into the education system with the aims of going into financial space. You come in a year. You complete your master's degree.
Yeah.
Can you talk to how did you do that? Like what? Can you please explain? Like what happened? Like
See, I sit down and look back and I'm like, how did I do it? But you see, I feel like you can achieve anything you want to
Wanna
achieve
achieve,
if you
yeah.
put your mind to it.
That's
And
it.
that's what's been guiding me. See, listen, to be honest, I'm no perfectionist, right? And I had those days like everybody else,
Right.
especially as a youth. I
Right.
already did my BSc, right?
Right.
And you make your mistakes back then.
Right.
But as an adult going back to school, you know what
You
you
know
want,
what
right?
to do. Got it.
What I did was like, I'm gonna be so focused, study time, everything, not missing out on that, and ensuring that I was able to care for the kids as well. My mom being here, she was of course not so young. I still did major things that needed to be
Right.
done for the kids, but it's just the time I go to school, right, in person, someone would be home to take care of
Got
the
it,
kids,
got it,
right?
got it.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it wasn't easy. It's just you planning your time, knowing when to study, right? If there was any need to stay in school extra hours to get those assignments done,
Done.
I would do
Do
it.
it, right.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh
You know,
my
like
goodness.
I was
Wow.
talking to one of my bosses when I started working in the US, and I told him something. I said, sometimes I don't compare people because I've had the experience of people misjudging you for who they think you are and not really who you are. So I was making an example of the educational system in Nigeria and the educational system in France. So there was this young boy, a child that his parents migrated to France, and they were in school. So every other teacher felt like this guy was good in maths because when they do the multiplication table, he's always there. When the English teacher comes and they're speaking English, he's good. So everybody was like, I don't think this boy is fit for this class. I think we should move him forward. But the French teacher says, oh no, I think his French is bad. I want him to stay in this class so that he can catch up. Now, what the French teacher doesn't understand is that the boy is from Nigeria, which
different
means
culture.
he speaks English.
Yeah.
The maths teacher doesn't know in Nigeria as early as 2 years old,
We
you are
go to
forced, not really forced, you are encouraged to memorize
You have to.
the multiplication
multiplication.
table.
Good point.
So I don't have to think. If you tell me 2 times 2, 4, 2
Yeah,
times 4,
exactly.
I
It's
can,
a song
I
in
can
your head,
sing
right?
it.
You
can
It's
recite
like
it
a
so
song for
easily,
me. Like
yeah.
till 20, we also have it at the back of the notebooks.
Right.
Yeah.
So now look at these 3 teachers. The boy represents 3 different things. And they are judging him based off of what part
they
of
see.
him that they know.
They know, yep.
And that is why I say, when I don't know the whole story, I try not to make my assumptions
judgment,
about
right.
judgment
I like
about
that
it.
theory.
That is good.
And let that lead us into your children coming from schools in Africa into the United States system. How has it been?
Oh, good, good, interesting, and it's been in our favor, I must say.
Wow.
And to Darren's point, from 2,
Yeah.
and for me as a working mom at the time, it was even before 2. My kids started school. I remember taking my daughter to about 4 different daycare/school, even before she turned 18 months, right? Because you go in, you find out you don't like what they're doing, and the kids, to keep them busy, they have to make sure they're coloring, they're using their hands, and try to kind of strengthen those fingers to be able to hold the pencil well, right? And so that started really early for my kids, especially, so I focus on them one after the other, right? Like I said, the last one was just a little over 1, so I won't say it really grew up. But my daughter was 6+ when we came in here, and the one next to her was 4+.
So they've experienced schooling in Africa.
Yeah, so they did.
So they
did.
remember.
Yeah, my daughter remembers very well. Trust me.
Wow.
So the first thing, they may know this story already, but the first thing when we came in, and she had to go to school was, according to her age, she was supposed to be in 1st grade, right? And I took her to the school. I spoke with the principal, and she was like, okay, yeah, we're going to put her in 1st grade, this and that. And I'm like, she said, we're going to do a test for her, and then she's going to be in 1st grade. I thought maybe 1st grade, what do they do there? I really wasn't sure. But in my head, I'm like, are you sure this girl can go a class, higher than first, like to the next grade? But I didn't really push. I didn't say much. I let the school do their thing, right? So I left. But guess what? Before noon that same day, the principal called me and said, hey, I just wanted to share this good news with you. Your daughter can read about 216 words in a minute. That's how they kind of test those kids. And I have no option but to move her upward. She's actually reading at 4th grade level at this point.
Wow.
But we can't move her any higher than 2nd grade because there are other things. To Darren's point, which was what you said about the guy, the French guy, there are other things she needs to learn. She doesn't know anything about the social environment, right? Social studies and all of those things. So, but they did move her up 1 class. Yes. So I would say during moving those kids, and it's not just me. I've listened to, shared this story, or I have friends who are also from Nigeria, and many of them had their kids moved up. Because we start really early.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So the question is this a private school or public
It's
school?
public.
Public school.
It's
okay.
public. Private school, I have another story for that. So it's not just
So
public
what was the
school.
purpose of the test?
It's to test the child's capabilities.
So now so they were gonna move your child based on the test or how she was in the class?
Initially, it was supposed to be the age. They
Okay.
used the year of birth and put them in that class.
Right.
But because they knew they would be doing her a disservice, if they put her in 1st grade where they were still coloring, when this girl can actually spell and write and read.
So they kept her because of social stuff? Can you?
Yeah.
No, but she was
They moved her.
They moved her, yeah,
But they couldn't move her to 4th grade.
I see. Where
Of
she
course.
actually belongs.
Yeah, no. She belongs to 1st grade.
Oh,
But in
according
terms
to
of the
age.
test, yes,
Okay.
according to the age, it's 1st grade. But in terms of the test, it's 4th grade, let's say. But she was 6, so there's no way I would make her go to 4th grade as well. Because you don't base a child off of reading only. There's so many other things.
That is something we normally do in Africa. So I know in Africa, by the time you're in primary 4, primary 5, you're encouraged to try the common entrance, right? And if you pass it, you're gone. That's the end.
Up. Yeah.
And I did that. And I did that when I was in primary school, and I did that when I was in high school as well, because I had my what is the equivalent of YK?
The SAT.
SAT,
I had
yes.
it when I was in SS2, which was a year before I get to my final year.
Got it.
And I wasn't serious. So there are some, I already passed it, so there was no point going to school anymore. Right? So there are some math questions that if you ask me now, I don't know it. Like maybe I don't want to.
Because you skipped
because
the class.
I skipped the class.
Yes, exactly. That was what they were trying to prevent.
So we have to go back to the beginning and start looking at it very well for me to be able to catch up, because I never heard it before. And there were those questions in my exam when I was writing them, but I knew. In Africa, we have 6 questions, answer 4.
Yeah,
so I knew I don't have to know everything to be able to go in and do it. And the objective part of it will be much more easier because it's not as if I don't have any idea of it, but I don't have an in-depth knowledge of those topics because I never had it. And so I understood the part of,
Yeah.
letting the child, integrate slowly into the society.
I'm fine.
Because she doesn't have friends.
Yeah.
She doesn't know anybody.
Those other
She's
things,
just so if she
interaction.
goes to meet people that are much more
No,
like
no, that
already
would
in the
be too
system,
much.
they already have friends.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
if
me,
she stayed
and-
in Nigeria,
and kids are me.
no, even in Nigeria, she would have been at second grade, not fourth grade.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
that she
yeah.
was a little bit better
Advanced.
than
The
advanced. Thank
people-
you.
Yeah.
Than
See,
her age.
the thing I'm
So she-
afraid of is not being the tallest midget. So what I mean by that is like,
really.
so like you come to a place where school isn't really, the families don't really care. This is public school system. They have a record of just poor performance.
Yes.
And now you're judging your kid according to these
other
you understand what I mean?
I
So
get your
that's
point.
what happens.
Yeah.
I find that what happens a lot. And a lot of the Asian families decide to homeschool their kids for that reason. That's why they perform better. You understand what I mean? And I understand like coming into a culture, your new aspects, but the purpose of school, let's remember, is for you to be prepared for going into your adult years. You understand what I mean? And if that's being done properly, I think that's what should be the priority.
Yeah.
Not if you can have friends. Like
Yeah,
So,
I get
because
what they're
when you
saying.
grow up,
Yeah.
what matters is how equipped are you for the labor force.
Got
That's
you.
what's gonna determine if you're gonna be working, get out of high school and start working $20 an hour jobs. Whereas the Asians are coding,
Yeah.
making the programs
Yeah.
that TikTok
Exactly.
is an Asian product. You think they're
get you.
worried about their kids?
I
Let's
get
be
you.
honest here.
So,
I
so
get
this is
you.
the way I look at it,
Yeah.
not to
Okay,
cut it
alright.
short. So this is what I think. When you're dealing with people, you have to be able to at least create an umbrella that will cover not everybody, but most people.
Majority.
Okay.
Now, I don't believe education is left alone to the teachers.
That's very
So regardless of where you put my kid, it's okay. She's coming home. He's coming home. I have created time for my kids. When my kids come home, I don't say, hey, that is school. School is done. Even now, they're 2 years old, right? So I still go, where's your head? Show me your head. Show me your
Yeah.
eyes. Show
Yep.
me your,
Yep.
when I'm bathing them. So clap for
Yes.
me. Where's your mouth? One, two.
Yep.
I still create time to educate them. And regardless of whatever they might learn in school, there is still an opportunity for me to educate and re-educate them.
Yeah.
And because of our time, I don't want us to dwell on that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was going to say that. and just to clarify that, Ayo, she got moved up a class higher than where she was originally
Really
meant to
supposed to
be.
be, okay.
So that was fine. That's fine with me. Every year, she's the youngest in her class up until
Wow,
today, you
wow,
know.
okay.
So it's fine with me.
Okay.
Because they didn't put her in first grade.
Yeah.
Yes, that's fine
That's
for
the-
me.
okay.
Yes,
Because I want us to move
And I also
to-
want to go to a point there, sorry, before you go on, that the standard, you have to consider the environment.
Yeah,
Fine,
that's an
this is
umbrella.
America's standard. If you don't like it, that's where we have those private schools. And to Darren's point, your point, you have those that they get to homeschool, right? If you're not comfortable with it. So the standard here is this. I've talked about it as well. If you tell me that the brain of a child matures the most the first 5 years, right? Why are we keeping them at home until that 5 years? Why am I, is it just because of diaper duties? Let's innovate.
my point.
Let's look for things
That's my
that can help
point.
us. Put all of,
That's
and
my
that's what
point.
Africa is doing, putting all of those knowledge in those kids.
Yeah.
I can tell you, Tammy would tell, my daughter would tell me, Mommy, I don't know if I've really grown in the last 3 years. This is someone, like when she was in Nigeria, they were pushing those kids and they were so smart.
Yeah.
What subject would you ask my daughter? And then she came here, was more like she platooned, you know. And we're talking about someone who was in maybe second grade in
Yeah,
Nigeria.
yeah.
And now, up until when she was in 5th grade, she's telling me she's not seeing much growth.
Much different. Because,
Except that, of course, to Darren's point, the social part of things.
Yeah.
But academically, there hasn't been so much growth. So maybe we can look at the system itself.
That's my point.
I get
That's
you.
what you just described is my point. But because out of respect for time,
Yeah.
I don't want to
Let's-
dwell
yeah.
on this because it's something I'm passionate about.
Yeah. We can bring that topic
we
back.
can-
guys.
you know, like that's
Always.
what I wanted to say. You know,
Always.
AY, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
we are going to keep peeling and peeling and peeling, and
Yeah.
you know when we start,
Got it.
you know, sometimes we go 3 hours.
Going to Nigeria was what changed my life.
You see that?
I went to school here all my life. I went to Nigeria. That's when I'm like, okay,
Now you're schooling.
this is real school. What I was doing before was just daycare, just elevated daycare.
Exactly, right?
You understand what I mean?
Exactly.
But in school, in Nigeria, it's different. So it changed my life.
It will.
And that is the educational part of it. So what I want us to talk about is the social aspect of it as well.
Okay.
So you have kids that you've brought in that already at least understood what the Nigerian system is a bit.
Yeah.
They have come into a new society.
Yeah.
They are not making new friends. I think you have a daughter that is almost a teenager or a teenager
Yes,
already.
almost.
Oh, wow.
Pretty.
Yeah, I need to hear
So-
this.
She's a
She's as
teenager
tall,
in
she's
2
as
months.
tall as me.
In
She's
You,
like-
2 months.
you have 2 twins. I mean, a set of twins.
Yeah.
I have twins. Well, 2 girls too. So now, since you've been through the trenches already,
exactly.
We're gonna
But
learn
if
from
you
this.
see her, you wouldn't even know she's
Wow.
not
Yeah.
a teenager. She's as tall as me.
She's
She's really tall.
Yeah,
you know.
she's
I mean,
tall.
her parents are tall.
and
but,
and she's
Okay.
but
she's
tall.
super mature.
Yeah.
Wow,
I must
that's
add
good.
that, not just
So how has it been for
Oh.
you?
Oh,
So
boy.
like the system, you know, the dressing part,
Oh.
the social aspect of it.
I want an iPhone.
Oh.
I want to go on TikTok.
Oh, let me add one before I answer the question. She only wants designer stuff.
See?
So it has to be Nike, Jordan,
You know, all
Nike.
those-
You know, I wear Adidas. You know, I wear
I wear
Reebok.
Adidas
My
too.
daughter wants, highest level, and I was forced to buy for her recently because now she started playing basketball, and I kind of understand some of those things. And to your point, raising kids here is different. It's different, Darren. So talking about starting the process, coming in this, she already kind of knew the basic things, Nigerians, how we would train our kids in Africa,
Yeah.
right? Because it has to be good morning, ma, right? It's not
Yeah.
hi, you
It's
see.
not.
So, but coming over, she started that way for a long time until I myself actually eventually transitioned, and I would take high, not a problem, because I also do not want my kids to be the odd one out when they go to that larger setting. Remember, we're just a small population here, and like I was telling Ayo, the standard, what is the standard? There's always going to be the exceptions, right? But what is the standard? And you need to understand that it's not just about your personal values. You have to consider other people. And that's why I love this country to an extent, right? Because of that thing called diversity, equity, inclusion, and even belonging, right? I love it. I know some people have their concerns, but for me, if I was coming with my myopic mindset that I had in Nigeria, which I feel is good, not bad, but I will call it myopic, I will not be able to cope in this environment, right? So raising kids here is different. So I had to calm down. Initially, I was really tough. I was talking to Darian. I said, raising kids it's a textbook. It's a textbook that has different parts, episodes or or movie or series, because it's different when you're at a certain age group, right? For a child that's between 1 and 5, 5 to 10, and to your point, we're talking about pre-teens. It's different for girls, different for boys. But generally, to your point, Darren, you had asked me dress code, dressing, right? And my daughter was in 5th grade. It was during the pandemic. She had moved so we moved, and they now had to start coming to school. So she was in this school for the first time. They had been learning online before that. And she had to make friends, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing, friends. And I found out that she got a phone at the time, or it was through the school's app. They had to ensure the kids were ready to communicate with themselves or something. And I saw this message that said, "What are you wearing tomorrow?" Yes, fifth grade.
For someone that is probably
Yes.
like 10 years, 9
Tights.
years, so
Tights with your bum short, maybe with your crop top. I'm like, hey, oh my goodness,
it's
what is
happening.
going on here? So we had to sit down to talk. I used to be very, very aggressive and, use the African way, I won't say the stick method, not more. The stick was 80% and the carrot was just 20.
20%.
Yes, but after using the stick for so long and you realize that this child will still go back to the school. Oh, Darren, you know this. I've changed my daughter's school every year in the past 6 years. That's me. That is who I am.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
If I just sense something that I'm not comfortable with,
You're living.
you're moving from that environment. Because, the child's brain is still very young. Don't tell me the child to Darren's point, needs friends. I tell my daughter, girl, those friends will change. Second grade when she joined, mommy, and these girls don't want to play with me. Mommy, they hid my bag. Mommy, I thought they were my friends. So I had to sit her down and say, come, your friends will change. Your real friends will come later, not now. Chill, that's what I tell her. And now she's seen it. It took her some years, but she's seen it. Because sometimes those friends, she would go against you. Trust me, they will go against you to please their friends. And so at some point, talking about the dress code thing, so I sat her down, she didn't go to that school again. It was towards the end of the session that I saw that, but she changed that school. But it wasn't the end of the battle, right? New school, and then again, after some months, right, you start seeing all of those things come up again. And this time around, it was 6th grade. Was it 6th grade was good. Oh, I took them to a private Christian school. Very traditional school. No phones, no computers. They only had computer classes where they would use the computer. So it's not like everybody had transitioned. It was post-COVID. Yeah. And kids were now tech savvy, right? But that school didn't let them have access to it that much. Yeah. So that was
still
good.
The traditional way of
Yes, it was traditional. Pen and paper, straight. Yeah. But then 7th grade, she went back to charter school. And another thing, teachers were reaching out to me. We were talking to your daughter. She was listening to her friends. I told them to stand up. She and her friends were just talking on the side. She didn't turn in this homework. She didn't turn in this. So I'm like, I know what I'm in for. It's time to deal with this devil and nip it in the bud. Yeah. So I called her, sat her down. Sometimes I tell you, sometimes I'll be like, there's no way. I would get so upset that I'll be like, you're not going to that school the next day. And then my husband will calm me down and say, hey, you can't do this. It's in between school sessions and all of that. And then I would, okay, just go. But I would now reach out to the teachers. I was begging teachers literally to be my eyes, especially the ones that reached out to me. Yeah. So I knew I had to connect with those teachers and say, please, in your class, can you put her away from those girls? Yeah. Can you have her sit separately, from them so that she would listen and all of those things? So that was the monitoring I had to do. So parenting here is a bit deeper than what, if you really want to be successful as a parent, you just need to be very involved.
You have to be intentional
very involved. And so I did that 6th grade, and I know they. So that's for the dress code part of. That's for dress code learning, and then I realized that she was dropping in terms of her academics. Wow. She was dropping because at this point, to your point, they're not pushing those kids, and I had that reservation about the school. Gosh, the
laissez-faire attitude was just too much.
Remember how many homeworks you would take home in Nigeria, even classwork. When they tell you go and look for the skeletal system, labeling. You know, you didn't grow up in Nigeria.
I did.
No, but you
did the secondary school in life cycle of a butterfly, of a cockroach, the trees, label the trees, the leaves, the branches. I wasn't seeing that.
You had to memorize all these things. Anyway, by the way,
look,
you have to close your eyes and be able to talk about it.
The biggest union in this country is the teachers union. They have no incentive.
Yeah, I know, I understand.
Most of the people that get those jobs are not qualified. They are women that just want to have a pension.
Good point. Good
So
point.
let me work here, give them 30 years, then my retirement is secure.
So just like we were saying, not to digress too much from the initial point we were saying, you were talking about the social part, how you have to allow teachers to be the one to monitor her and
Yeah.
go from there. And how was it been? How has it been ever since
That.
you've been
Good.
able to like sit down,
Good.
let teachers monitor her and
Yeah.
report back to you?
I found out that it was hard even with the teachers, because the teachers will not be there all day, right?
Yeah.
Because this is someone in 6th grade and they were rotating
Yeah.
classes, right? So like I said, I was only able to communicate with the teachers who were willing to do some of those things.
Yeah.
And some of the classes were, at the time, I think the English teacher was somewhere in Texas. So it was an online in-class kind of thing. So there's no way I would be able to reach out to that teacher, or that teacher would be able to monitor at the time. But with time, she realized, because I kept talking to her, it became a point of duty for me to say, what are you doing? What happened in school today? What did you do in school today? Tell me what happened. I've told your teachers to watch you. I don't want to see you with this XYZ set of people, this other group of people, because the teachers were able to tell me the good group and the bad
good
group.
groups and the bad
So
groups.
I was able to say, okay, this is the report I want to be getting. Trust me, you don't know who's watching you in school. Because see, guys, it's
You
not
became an
easy.
FBI agent.
I'm telling you,
just,
it's
just to make sure she's doing the
not
right
easy
thing.
at all. But I scaled through that class. Yeah, I told you, I was talking about our academics, right?
Yeah.
And she started dropping. And luckily, okay, so she got in first semester, 3 semesters they have, right? First semester, she was initially good. That's when she started dropping. Second, she got, I think she was on honor roll. Second one, no honor roll, Third one, she got back to honor roll. So I knew she was doing something right,
Yeah.
Talking to her and talking to those teachers and everything brought her back. But at the point, I knew that my daughter wasn't going to go back to that school. So another thing is investing in the kids, right? And sometimes we African parents, this is another topic for another day, and you have to look at what the parents are doing too. I do a 9 to 5. My husband works from home, but we still need to be close to those kids. So I think about parents who do these 11 to 3 jobs, those night jobs, where they say the parents are not even at home and the kids have to depend on themselves. Very independent kids they be. How do those parents monitor those kids or manage, parenthood in that situation? Because for me, if I was doing all of those jobs that I was never available, I probably would have lost my daughter. That's the truth. So
All right.
that year, I knew she wasn't going to go back to that school. So the year after that, now she's in 8th grade. She's in a private school. That's what I said about, investing in them. Not easy. You want to save that money and let the child go to public school. But is it the best for the child?
Yeah.
She's in private school now. I don't tell her to do her homework. My guy, if you miss your homework, your grades, it's showing the next day. This is private school.
Your
It's not
grades
next.
are gone.
It's not next end of week. It's showing. So
you see a difference between
Huge!
private school and you
huge,
see?
huge difference.
Do you wish you put her into private school earlier?
Remember we did the traditional
Oh,
one
yeah,
initially,
Catholic
but
school.
this particular school, I wish she had gone there earlier. Because I won't have to deal with what I dealt with the year before. It was really traumatic for me as a mother. When you find out that your child is no more interested in school, instead she's following friends.
When she
She's
was
more
a
interested
scholar,
in
This is a scholar,
What is
thank
the-
you. So now, to your question, I've seen a very, very huge difference. Good improvement. She wakes up by herself, 5:30 a.m.
Wow.
Yes. She's so optimistic about school,
Wow,
positive
look at
about it. And, no more fighting to do homework. She comes home oh, this is someone daring. You know how we battled.
Yeah.
She never wanted to do sports.
Yeah.
Sports,
Yeah.
volleyball, basketball.
I was
forcing
pushing
me?
her like, hey,
Exactly.
girl,
It's like
you're
they're
playing
forcing me.
basketball in this country. You can't waste this
Yeah,
height.
she wasn't interested either. But when she got to this school, on her own, mommy, I'm doing volleyball. Season now too. First semester was volleyball. Second semester, this girl walks up to me and says she's doing basketball. I'm like, God, thank you. She's today, as I speak with you, she's on the bus to New York. They've gone to play a game, basketball game in New York.
Nice.
I didn't wake her up. I don't wake her up. I don't push. I don't stress anymore.
Self-motivated.
Yeah, she's self-motivated because of what she's seen. And ask me about her grades. Her grades, she's all A's. She has 1 B now in math. Because but, it's understandable. Before, this girl is just like changed. So the environment really matters. And talking about raising kids, I had to talk to my managers as well. People, you have to share ideas. Your own idea alone. You can't live in a siloed. Man, the world itself is actually, it's interactive, right? You can't say, I want to do things my own way. It will be a big failure. So I talked to people of different culture and races at my job. And my manager one time said, you can't keep changing at school because she has to keep friends. I'm like, well, for me personally, friends haven't been, a big thing. So I'm like, for that, okay, I understand. I won't change her anymore. So she's going to stay here. One, because I've seen the positive.
You like the result.
Yes.
You like the results you see.
And if she's making friends here, it's okay. And now, to your point, she's self-motivated and she's more independent. Like I said, before now, it's a battle to do homework. So I've seen positive things. So we have to think about it, talk to other people. And in terms of talking to other people, I've learned that you have to let her fly.
Wow.
She's a
Release the
preteen.
handbrake.
Yes.
Just let her go
Release
and
it.
monitor the
Yes,
situation,
yes.
monitor the process.
And I was talking to my daughter yesterday. If you hear that girl Ayo speak, you will love her. And I'm still praying to God that what she speaks is what's really in her heart.
Wow.
Sometimes maybe we feel like,
they say what you
I'm
wanna
always
hear.
Are you
doubting.
whining me?
I'm always a doubting Thomas, but I'm praying that is what it is, because it comes from within. It's positive. We were talking about Tammy. I was just thinking about you some years ago, and then she started talking back and thinking. She said, "Mommy, do you know that today I was thinking about this too? Something happened some months ago that I was supposed to make a bad decision, but I thought about 3 things: what is morally right, even if I'm a Christian, but let's even say I wasn't me and I was someone else, and I hear that person did that thing. Will I be happy with that person?" That's deeper than what I would think a 12-year-old.
That is self-awareness.
Exactly.
Man. That is,
So-
At
that
a
is
young
the
age,
height
Yes.
good.
of
And all of this
responsibility.
came from, I haven't said this, I switched. Carrot is 100% now, stick is 0. Yes. Do you want to lose your child? Keep sticking them up. Because they will go. And I pray, and Pastor Yemi tells us this, our pastor, please be careful with how you're raising your kids here. You don't want the social services to take your child away or use you as case study or something.
Funny enough, not to cut it short.
Yes, they're
sometimes she might not even be the one to go report you. So she might tell one of those her friends and say, my daddy spanked me yesterday.
Exactly.
Then that one takes it. Really? Your daddy
Exactly.
spanked you?
You could call a cop.
Then that
All of a
she
sudden-
probably takes it to another, maybe the head
Exactly.
teacher and say, so person's daddy spanked her yesterday, and he has been doing that all the time. Then
Exactly.
you're gonna get visited by the
Exactly.
police
And
or
you
civil
don't want that,
social
especially
services.
you don't want all of those drama.
No, all of
And there are
those drama.
people here, like I was saying, talking to people. I have people at my job who are white. They don't beat their kids, and the kids are doing well. So that's why I said in the beginning, prayer matters. The way you raise your child, the way you interact with your child matters. The way you talk, that conversation is key. Pick their brains. Look at this. What do you think in this situation? And don't tell me they're too small. They're already overexposed.
Exactly.
The day COVID came, forget it. We all lost those kids to internet and social media and all.
Roadblocks, all the games.
Yes. Thank you, Roblox. And the other Minecraft, all of them.
All of that stuff, yeah.
They play those things. Oh, when I
Wow.
gave up on Roblox was when the school started giving my kids, when they do well, they're pretty smart. When they do well, they give them Roblox gift cards.
What?
So I'm like, okay, maybe they said they teach them to put things together, to build things. So I'm like, okay, go ahead. But don't chat with strangers. Don't do this. Be careful. And they are aware of all this negativity. So your own job is to say, don't say it's not time. Is to say, what do you think about this? What do you think about, did you hear about something like this? Because in school, to Darren's point, they are hearing all of these things.
Wow.
They are exposed already.
Yeah.
Can I ask
Go
you?
ahead.
So how did she get bullied at all?
Oh,
Was that a
yeah. Initially, she had this accent,
Okay.
right? A Nigerian accent was there. So that's the battle she had in second grade only. They switch so quickly.
So yeah.
But in second grade, she had the battle where, she
Someone
said,
tells her,
I think it was, she would tell me, she told me that joke. Was it color or colorful? There was one thing she said, and they thought she said something else, because of her accent. And it became a thing in the class where, they would laugh at her and she would come back home and I was like, Tammy, don't worry. Soon, you see, even me, I can't understand your accent anymore. You're all Americanized.
Look at that.
How we parents also deal with all of these things. It's not an easy journey raising
I
kids
just,
here.
maybe because I've lived in other continents as well, so it doesn't bother me anymore. If you don't get what I'm saying, I'll repeat myself. There's no
Darren, we
problem.
are adults now.
Yeah, I
We are
understand.
adults.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about us
different.
parents now.
Even me, I still
I'm
struggle with that, Darren, because I want to say, let me say, what's one of those things? I want to say, marry. I'm married, and I don't want someone to think I'm saying Mary or Mary. You see all of those things.
I'm not bothered.
So no, that's why you go back and I go back to train myself.
I'll repeat myself.
Yeah, repeat how you spell it.
Do you know?
Worst case.
Yeah, especially
But
my
yeah.
name. Especially my name. And so what I've understood is this: when the French person speaks, and they're fumbling their R word, and they don't. Oh, they say, the French accent is very sexy.
Yeah.
But when I speak as an African, you're like, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm a fool. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll say it again.
I will say it again. I'll say it to you. You're able to understand. I will explain myself.
feel you.
But I'm not going to fall into the trap of, because see, there's no way I'm going to be able to speak. It's too late.
There's no, my brother. I said that always.
It's too
I
late.
say that
There's
always.
no way I'm going to be able to speak Ghana. It's not happening.
I say that. But
Don't let me try. The way you're trying too much, it's obvious because you're trying too much.
That's what I was thinking one day. I said, is it because I'm trying too much, Dad? Because I never stutter.
Yeah.
But now I find out that if I say a word, and Yoruba accent, the H and the.
Yeah.
So if I say something, I want to say I hated, or I ate.
I don't care.
I will now start to repeat myself.
I'm a Yoruba man.
And I'm like, okay, maybe I
have
shouldn't
H
try
factor.
too hard.
It's not a problem.
Maybe
I'm
I
not going to
shouldn't-
kill myself about it. The way Italians will also speak their,
That's
they will
true.
speak their bad English with their
Absolutely.
own Italian
But
accent.
then I get you.
But people are listening to them.
But also, remember we talked about, the environment and it's actually called cultural intelligence. It's part of it. There's some things you can work on, right? To be able to communicate.
Articulate yourself.
Yes, to articulate yourself.
Let me
to
ask you a question. Is the English correct?
Oh, your English is correct.
If it's limited, that also is a problem.
The one I was going to talk about daring is not even the H, it's the R. R is silent in Nigerian accents. And here you have to say R.
You emphasize
Because if you don't put it in, it might even mean
it means
something else.
completely something else.
So I will take the pen and remember to say it,
Yeah, I mean, you can.
That's why I said there are
You
some
can
that.
put in the effort to
Yeah.
be as articulate as you can, but you cannot speak like them.
No,
It's not
never.
happening.
I don't even want to speak.
So what I try to
It's too much
do,
work.
I do meetings like 80%
your
of my
meeting.
job
Yeah,
now is
is
having
you have to
meetings,
hold, yeah,
putting
and do presentations.
roadmaps, presentations to senior management, and so on and so forth. Because of the level I am, I try to be as articulate, as clear, as precise as possible. I have not seen anybody come back to say, one day my manager called me and said, do you know why it's always easy for me to tell you to go present in top management? And when I say top management, I mean top
Yeah,
management
top
level.
senior
It's because
level, exactly.
your presentations are very clear. I've never had anybody, he said I've had people go do presentations before, and
They didn't
they
understand
reach back to me
anything.
and say, we don't want to see him again, or
no.
we don't, or maybe get someone else. But each time you go there, you go with prepared. You take it from one point to the other. Everybody understands what you're saying. You are able to pass the message across, and we are looking forward to your next meeting.
That's
Because
good.
I also try as much as possible to, like, even if it is senior management, say a simple joke, not something too serious, so that they don't take you don't start fumbling it
Lighten
up
up-
from there.
you lighten
Maybe
up the mood.
maybe you expect them to laugh and they don't laugh, then you shocked yourself, right? So
Right.
you don't just put one or two words there, maybe before I start presenting, say hello
Do
to
the
everybody,
icebreaker.
I've
Calm everybody.
been able to maintain that. I've been able to sustain my job using this my normal Nigerian accent, your
Your
right
accent
factor,
is good. Trust
everything.
me.
But what I'm saying is this: there is no way I'm going to be able to speak as someone that was born here. I'm not going to be able to speak your kind of English. It's not possible.
We can't. We
Yeah.
can't.
But
Even people born
Can
here
I make
speak
effort to be
incorrectly.
clear enough in
Just
what
so
I'm
you know.
saying?
Exactly.
If that's
Yeah.
your standard,
Yeah,
don't be
which
the
one are
tallest
you
midget.
gonna exactly?
Again,
Yeah.
don't be the tallest midget. You gotta know who are you trying to emulate.
Yeah.
So it could be the yo-yo rappers.
Exactly.
They're American too, or the articulate one that reads, that can
point.
put together a presentation and be succinct.
And sometimes what I also know is that there are certain words that are different in English in Nigeria that they don't probably exist in the US.
wow.
Example is sidewalk. In England, in Nigeria, it's called pavement. So I was walking on the pavement and something happened. If you say that to an
Which is
American,
proper.
they probably wouldn't know what a pavement is.
That's what I mean, Darren, to understand, to be culturally
Culturally,
intelligent.
Yeah.
You need to know what words, their words. It's an English word. It's in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in America, I guess it means something
It's-
else.
yeah.
It's still called pavement. It's still the same idea, but it's not the sidewalk.
We say glasses.
They want
You guys say
sidewalk.
eyeglasses. Like we have to let you guys know where to put it, right?
Yeah.
On
before,
that note-
maybe
There's
before,
a
maybe
guy-
before you're putting it
On
on.
that
There's
note,
a guy, yeah, on that note,
let
we're
us
done. We're
round up.
wrapping up.
Let us round up. All right.
Since I have my eyeglasses on,
Anyway,
there is something
thank
else.
you so much for joining us, and hopefully we will have you here again so that we can continue this discussion. And
discussion. Yeah.
Hopefully.
thank you for coming.
You're welcome,
Great
guys.
insight.
Nice,
It was a
nice
pleasure
time.
having you. Your insights were amazing. You shared your insights, your perspective. It was really good.
Yeah.
thank you.
Nice.